continue with our second speaker of the night. Our next speaker coming up here is one of those people that you sort of randomly meet in life, for me anyway, through someone else, and you instantly realize just how truly amazing a person they really are. She has been extraordinarily kind to me through a very difficult period in my life, but in the process has become a very good friend. And please welcome to the stage my very good friend, Laura Patterson.
I have to confess that I don't usually read stories in public, and in fact, I've never read a story I've written in public before, so I'm a little bit fluttery.
Friendly crowd.
Yeah, I know it's a friendly crowd, but it's still reduce the terror of public speaking. So at any rate, I wrote this story this week as well, and so y'all forgive me, and I'm just such an amateur, and I know there's some great storytellers here tonight, and just please be a part of this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this story is about a recent travel experience I had, and I'm calling this my big fat gay destination wedding. My sister was married on Trunk Bay at sunset on the shores of St. John in the Virgin Islands in 2002. It was intimate and gorgeous, accompanied by a steel drum version of Here Comes the Bride. If there were any stressful things about the event, all anyone had to remember was that we were in the Caribbean. The right location I found seems to make most any situation better, especially if that location is sunny and warm in the middle of November. Having been my fair share of large weddings that were full of second cousins once removed, and Aunt so-and-so's neighbor who made the groom's cake, I was pretty sure that if I ever got married, my wedding would be a destination wedding too. And I say if mainly because first, I never really thought of myself as the marrying type. And secondly, over the past 17 years that I've been in a committed relationship, there just weren't many places a woman could go off and marry another woman and have it mean anything in the eyes of the powers that be or the churches and pretty much anywhere else. So a lot of things have happened since I decided I wasn't the marrying type. And mainly that was the defeat of the Defense of Marriage Act by the Supreme Court and the legislation and decisions related to the Affordable Care Act. Some key benefits to come out of those decisions are going to look apart. Were that now that not only did I file taxes jointly with my partner and be a beneficiary on her Social Security benefits, we also have joint benefits through our employer. And I would no longer, and I could maybe have benefits for her if I no longer have to decide. When our daughter Sydney was born in 2011, we took considerable steps to ensure that our family would be protected legally, like powers of attorney, second parent adoption, wills, but it's just not the same as marriage in more ways than one. And to be honest, I never really thought I needed the government or any other entities or recognition to validate my commitment and the love that I share with Becky. But it wasn't my commitment that I was worried about. So now back to the past. Interlude there. My first wedding idea was an elopement to Connecticut between Christmas and New Year's last year. Leave the kid at home with the folks, no waiting period, we can be there and back in 2 days or less. We almost did it too, but Becky really wanted our daughter to attend, and I didn't think it would be very easy to pull a 2-year-old through a whirlwind marriage adventure that would probably involve long travel days, possible rough and hollow hotel accommodations, and certain long waits in public offices. So we started the process of thinking about how the ideal wedding scenario may play out for us, and while it was no Virgin Island wedding, the result was something special and everything we wanted it to be. Well, almost, and as you know, no wedding plan is without snags. So what ended up as our wedding began as a reunion planning with some of my old college friends that we affectionately refer to as the commune. We called ourselves the commune, because when we lived together nearly 20 years ago, we had a house full of people that was only barely outnumbered by the number of animals, and we had 5 cats and 2 dogs. The commune was determined to have a reunion, and I was determined to have my summer wedding. After looking for the most accessible and convenient location, we found something that would work well with our July 4th wedding planning. Hello, Washington, D.C. D.C. is a unique place to visit during July 4th, and as long as one doesn't mind huge crowds and oppressive heat, it has a lot to offer. Becky and I went there in 2002 for the 4th, and we got to experience the hottest July on record for that area, I'm pretty sure. I blew out holes in my socks from all the walking. We soaked our feet in the fountains at the National Picture Gallery along with many other heat-weary tourists. In addition to the world's largest fireworks display, the National Mall also features the Smithsonian Folk Life Festival. It's really cool. It's full of exhibits, dancing, music, food vendors from the featured region or country. In 2002, we got to experience the Silk Road that was traveled by Marco Polo in the 1200s. Heat and crowd to be damned, and there would be a lot to do besides wedding stuff. The key thing about destination weddings is that you have to do a lot of planning sight unseen, or pay a lot for a wedding planner who knows the details of the locations, restaurants, and service providers. And I've always thought of myself as a pretty good planner, so I kind of do it for a living. I'm a project manager. So armed with the internet, we set to work on our long overdue nuptials. Now, the main problem with getting married in DC is that there is a 5-day waiting period for wedding applicants before they can seal the deal. However, this waiting period can be circumvented by application submission by proxy. So, nominal fee, a few emails, 5 days, we had our wedding certificate in the mail months before the actual wedding date. Our next planning adventure involved the location of the wedding itself. We've been members of the Episcopal Church since 2001, and while the legal wedding itself was the point, we felt the icing on the cake would be this important element of our life as a part of it too. Becky did some Google searching, website reading, and found a quaint church in Georgetown. It was built in 1866. A few emails later, we found that Grace Episcopal and her rector were willing to host our wedding, which we wanted to hold on a Monday morning at 10:30 a.m. The only condition that the church requires marriage counseling turned out to be not a problem either, as we had a loving and supporting church community here in Birmingham. And add to this, the permission of the Bishop of Washington, D.C. for clergy to perform certain we're going very fast. Same-sex weddings and the recently approved new liturgy for the blessing of a lifelong covenant. We had all the things we had ever hoped for but never believed possible. Continued web searching for our nearby reception location, since we were having a morning service and wanted a nice lunch after. As it turns out, DC is full of fine restaurants with private dining rooms that can be rented out with prefix menus and personalized service. Since the church was within a block or two of the Georgetown waterfront, I set my sights on this area, and I found Villa Mare, Italian restaurant, right on the waterfront, which turned up on one of my brother's places to eat lists. He's a chef. And since Mondays are pretty light for wedding receptions, we were able to get the space we wanted with no problem. So I started imagining my fancy sit-down, multi-course lunch, matched by the relaxing scenery of light reflecting off the water in the background, boats drifting past, the wind in our hair. We were also able to find cupcakes of TV fame, Georgetown cupcakes. I never heard of it before, I watched TLC. But they were good cupcakes. And they would fill an order, small or large, and deliver to any location in the DC area. And our photographer we also found through our savvy searching, who would give us digital and print rights to all the pictures that she took at a price that wouldn't break the bank. Everything was coming together. As the date grew closer, we had the first worry come about in the emergence of Hurricane Arthur in the Atlantic Ocean, heading straight for the Atlantic coast right before the holiday weekend. I started to worry in a paranoia sort of way that maybe God doesn't want us to get married. Well, as it turns out, this hurricane actually was a gift from God. Winds never got over 100 miles per hour, our flights went on as planned, and the result was the most beautiful and cool July 4th that DC has probably ever experienced. We arrived in DC on the evening of July 4th and joined our family along with the Georgetown locals in viewing the National Mall fireworks display from the highest point on Wisconsin Avenue, which was a cemetery. We were participants and witnesses to the celebration of our independence and soon-to-be equality that night with the spirits of our founders. And afterwards, we had an easy walk back to the hotel without battling all the crowds and subway spots and cab fares away from the mall. The rest of the weekend was spent familiarizing ourselves with the lay of the land in Georgetown. While we had been to DC before, we had never spent much time in this part of town. It's full of quaint shops, the university, and home to the stunning National Cathedral, a true architectural wonder that's grained our necks as we try to see the gargoyles and spires that seem to disappear into the blue sky. We also spent some time sightseeing around the national monuments and connecting with our family and common faithful. And we visited one of the new monuments that I had not seen yet, the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, which was full of quotes about the struggle for civil rights, which I found quite fitting for the occasion. As part of our exploring, we became familiar with Uber, a business that has been trying to make its way into the Birmingham area. But more on this later, but basically Uber saved our wedding, so more on that. We love Uber. We attended Sunday services at Grace Episcopal mainly to lay eyes on the man who would perform the wedding and to get a look at the inside of the church. The church was hosting a rock festival that week and had a guest organ professor from Germany who played an improvisational piece on the old pipe organ. It was familiar because he used and worked off themes from well-known hymns, and thrilling because the improvised pieces were unpredictable and full of surprises. DC just kept giving us one gift after another. On the morning of the wedding, 7/7/14, we woke and made it to the church on time. With our family and friends in tow, we took pictures on the church lawn and a few inside. And we subjected our non-Episcopal families to a full service with communion, but everyone took it in stride. We even had a surprise guest when our priest from Birmingham showed up on his way home from his family vacation in Norfolk. And he also participated in the service by reading the gospel and brought a piece of our St. Francis family piece. Our musician was another surprise find, but this one came through one of Becky's high school friends who actually worked at the National Cathedral Foundation. And the person we found was an amazing classical guitarist who had picked some Renaissance style pieces that were just amazing. And I picked a few of my favorite hymns that were kind of folksy, whatever, but they just kind of paled in comparison to the one she had picked. And she was way more talented than I would have imagined finding someone I love. After the ceremony, we walked with our friends and family to the waterfront restaurant where I thought we were having our post-ceremony lunch. Yeah, I said thought, because this restaurant has a sister location in downtown Lexington. And the waterfront location is closed on Mondays. I dry heaved a little when my best friend asked, "Why is the door to the restaurant locked?" Most project managers will tell you to prepare for contingency plans, but I've never been really good at that. I've checked my email, and sure enough, there was a note from the restaurant manager informing me that the cupcakes have been delivered to the wrong location, which is where I told them to deliver them. But now they have them at the right location, everything would be fine. Yeah, it would have been fine if we were all in the same location as my cupcakes. I wanted to find them in the most desperate way. I gave them a call, found the right address, and I went into crazy recovery mode, save the wedding mode. I'm hungry and need a glass of wine mode. The challenge of transporting 18 people several miles all at the same time accepted, which also meant Uber to the rescue. Armed with our iPhone apps, one of my friends and I ordered up some black SUVs that arrived within minutes, and we were whisked away like spies who just had their cover blown by their CIA counterparts. And within 30 minutes, we were all settled into our private dining room at Field of Mayor, the downtown location, and the wine was poured and poured and poured. After 3 delicious courses, many toasts and laughs, we couldn't have and didn't plan that lunch any better. We were satisfied, we were buzzing with happiness and wine, and we were officially married at last. We had made plans to start our post-wedding celebration and commune reunion at the National Harbor in Maryland after the lunch. But before all that, we made our way back to the Georgetown Hotel to say our final goodbyes to our families. During our walk to the closed Field of Mayor, our nieces and daughters spotted a fountain splash pad. They begged and begged to jump through the sprinkles, so as promised, we made our way back to the waterfront. There on the shores of the Potomac River, we found a spot to lay out on the grass with my mother, brother, and sister, and we laughed and watched our kids play with our daughter in the fountain. The sun reflected off the water of the river, the boats drifted by, and the wind was sharp.